Next question we're going to talk about was a question that came in from our subscribers. Again, it was a two-parter. The first part was what I thought about the difference between rolling soft and rolling hard on a regular basis, or rolling playful versus rolling competitively. And a follow-up question related to that was if I could show something mechanically differentiated gi from no gi, because oftentimes myself and the other SBG coaches like to explain how uninterested I am, or we are, in that conversation about whether you should wear a gi or not wear a gi, because if it makes much difference to your jiu-jitsu, you have a problem with your jiu-jitsu. If what you're doing is fundamentally sound, it shouldn't matter where you put the gi on or take it off, so it should transcend uniform. But having said that, they would like an actual demonstration of some simple things that we can do to enhance our no-gi game. I think this is somebody that was a gi player that's taking the gi off for the first time. So let me address the more philosophical part first about how to roll. There's a difference between rolling rough and rolling hard. If you're rolling hard, meaning rolling competitively, that's fine, as long as you're honest with your training partner up front and your coach is okay with that at that particular time. You should do that with somebody that's your level or higher, and they should know that that's what you're going into. If Justin walks up to me on the mat, let's say he was a black belt instead of a purple belt. He's my rank, maybe my size. He walks into me on the mat, he's cold, he's just showing up. We touch hands, he wants to roll. He starts rolling soft, maybe he even lets me pass my guard because he's warming up, and I crank a submission on him, I'm probably a dick, right? Or at the very least, I'm not that smart, because this guy could be a good training partner, and this is an opportunity for me to learn, and that didn't go so well. But if maybe I don't ever like to roll that way, in which case, afterwards, we're going to have a conversation about that, and he's going to know now not to approach me unless he wants to roll hard like that. But it's still not a good idea, right? You want to be able to temper, and the better you get at jiu-jitsu, the better you should be at this skill. Temper your performance level up and down. And one thing you want to keep in mind is, nowhere in the animal kingdom is there an example of a creature who trains to fight by fighting. That's not how you get good at fighting. You don't get good at fighting by fighting all the time. That's not how it works. So even from a practical standpoint, it's not the most efficient way to get good at jiu-jitsu. The most efficient way to get good at jiu-jitsu is to be more playful, which is what happens in nature. Animals train to fight and train for combat by playing, because you don't want to get injured, you don't want to get hurt. You need to be able to experiment, you need to be able to fail so that you can get better timing, because without failure there's no timing. Without timing you're not really increasing as dramatically as you otherwise could. So turning it down actually speeds up your learning curve, it doesn't slow it down. By the time you get to black belt, you shouldn't have to have that explained to you. So that's one thing. Having said everything I just said, that's totally different from rolling rough. If Justin's that same guy and he comes in and we roll and I'm struggling with him, maybe I can't finish him, so I start grinding on his face with my arm, then I 100% should not be on the mat. Right? There's no excuse for that. So one of the big 5 rules that we have that goes through all SBGs is never roll rough, period. And again, that's different from rolling hard, right? Grinding them out, trying to inflict pain or be annoying or do something that hurts your partner is rolling rough, and there's never an excuse for that. Like Kavanaugh likes to say, jiu-jitsu done well should not hurt, but it should kill you. All right? So to your physical question, a real simple example of gi or no gi, let's talk about guard and mount. So if I'm playing guard bottom, one of the first things that's going to happen is Justin's not going to have my gi to grab, right? So he's going to need to control his hands here in the center of my body or in my armpit, somewhere up here by my shoulders, in order to be able to open up my closed guard, right? He should not be able to maintain posture and keep posture in a way that allows him to unlock my legs unless he has his hands or his frames in one of those 2 spots. So logically what that tells you is, instead of starting the match, we touch hands, we go, and I let him get this grip, or next time go up here, we touch hands, and I let him get this grip, the first thing we do when we touch hands is I'm going to occupy the space he wants to get at. So you'll notice, if you look for a second, my hands are blocking out that center space. So he's not able to put his hands here. He can put them down here, I can sit up. He can put them up here, I can arm lock, right? It's here where so I'm blocking that. And also, my elbows are to my rib cage, so I'm not giving my armpit, right? So even if he reaches over the top, this is pretty easy to clear and control the inside. So defend that space, number 1. Right? Sometimes we forget about that with the gi because he starts grabbing, I start grabbing, and everything becomes a lot more like this. So actually, if you start defending the space early, when you take the gi top off, that's going to make your gi game even better. Now if we flip it over and we talk about upside down guard, so we're in mount. Once Justin gets an idea of how to do the elbow knee escape mechanically correct, and if you've been paying attention to what we put up at SBG University, you should know that, right? So if you start the process of a good elbow knee escape, good. So once he knows what he's doing and he starts to get the right connection, it's really important that I deny him this connection, otherwise he's going to escape, even if I'm bigger, right? So I have to start deflecting and denying the connection. Go back. I know that he's not going to escape with an elbow knee escape without putting his hand somewhere here on my body or on my knee. It's impossible. So again, just like mount, why would I wait? Or like close guard, why would I wait for him to put his hand there and then worry about deflecting? So first thing I'm going to do is just control the hands. Now that's no substitute for my posture. So my tailbone is still tucked, my knees are still pinched together, I'm still not sitting on them, so I'm heavy. But as he starts to move around now, I can guide those hands. And he can't even begin the process of escaping until he clears that grip. Again, just a super simple thing. This will also translate well over to MMA, where you really need to pay attention to the hands, or if you're in law enforcement, where you also, even more importantly, you're paying attention to hands because you need to know where those hands go and if they're grabbing for weapons or grabbing for your weapons. So that's a simple thing you could do. It'll immediately enhance your no-gi game because you don't have the gi to grip on. You'll be better all the way around because you're defending space, territory that the enemy wants to get to, and you're there before he gets there, which is always very important. And remember to connect the two things I was talking about, keep it playful. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you get updates, because we're going to put videos up like this every week, and leave what you'd like to see in the comments below so that you can help direct the content that you see here on our SBG YouTube page. If you liked what I was showing here as it relates to closed guard, there's a whole bunch of stuff like that in Straight Glass Gym University and in our upcoming closed guard video set that we'll be releasing shortly, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching.